Okay. You're on the YouTubes?
Think it's immediate?
Not yet.
There. All right. Ready? Welcome, everybody, to the Monthly Movie Dispatch. This is the second time we're going live. Tuesday is supposed to be at 8.
We'll call this our sixth time going live.
Sixth time. We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So we're going up a little bit late here, but in the future, we're going to try to be as close to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. I'm Brandon Bolby, your host for this week in New York. And I have my co-host with me, Sean Bolby from Seattle, Washington.
Hey.
We are reviewing the Disney film Raya and the Last Dragon. So going forward, it's just going to be two of us for the most part here on the podcast. And we'll switch it up. There'll be different combos of, the four of us, but only coming to you in pairs of two every single week.
2 by 2.
So, yeah, I picked Raya and the Last Dragon because there's Pixar that everyone knows and loves, and every new Pixar film, like the last one, which was Soul, right? That just came out.
Yeah.
Pretty beautiful, significant. And yeah, they're owned by Disney, but you also have the Disney animated films, which they have their huge history of beautiful hand-drawn films, and their rocky, more recent past of a decade of some ups and downs. Frozen 1 and 2.
They've always had some ups and downs.
That's true.
There's some middle years there where they had some, kind of down years.
Even way back in the day.
Don Bluth left Disney, and yeah, there were some down years.
However, I picked Raya because I think recently, even with Frozen 1 or 2, which me and you had issues with, they are trying harder than a lot of other animated studios right now. And they're putting a lot of money into these films and trying to craft some pretty big stories. Some of my favorite of the last decade was Moana. I think you'll agree with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was a really impressive film. And also one of my other favorites was Big Hero 6, which I thought was a great kids adventure movie. And those are a few reasons why I picked Raya. I mean, what were some of your favorite recent Disney high budget films?
Yeah, definitely Moana was, all around for me was a really good, solid film. Yeah, that one really stands out. Most of the other ones are kind of, I'm either lukewarm on, or just kind of thought they were fun, but don't really stand out to me.
Yeah, it was the Zootopia kind of.
Yeah,
had some good stuff, but it's kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Same, and for me, same with Big Hero 6. And admittedly, I only watched it once, way back. But yeah, I've never really been too excited about any of their movies until really Moana.
And have you seen Wreck-It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I've seen Wreck-It Ralph. I think I've seen pretty much all of them. And if I haven't sat down and actually watched them, I've caught them at Kelly's sister's house with her kids.
Okay. They watch these religiously.
Yeah, they pop them on every once in a while.
So Raya and the Last Dragon, I was genuinely curious about. So let me read the synopsis for this film. In a realm known as Kumandra, a reimagined Earth inhabited by an ancient civilization, a warrior named Raya is determined to find the last dragon. So this film was directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada. And if I remember correctly, I think this was the director of Blind Spotting, which on the Monthly Movie Dispatch, I think all four of us put in our top 10, and we all loved.
Good.
Did you realize that until now?
I did not. No, not at all. I also didn't realize that Kelly Marie Tran was the main character, Raya.
No, you said that right before we started recording too. Who's Kelly Marie
Tran? She is what's her name from The Last Jedi?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. The
one that
yeah. What does she do in that movie? The one everyone was
was very upset
Hated.
about for
That poorly written character that made a lot of weird decisions.
that
Okay, but this isn't
everyone blamed
last,
on her, directly on her for some reason.
Oh, right, yeah. This isn't a Last Jedi critique, but that is interesting. Yeah, I did not realize she was the voice actor for this movie. Actually, and another one, Awkwafina. Not until I put that in the show notes did I realize it was her. I was actually thinking it was the girl from that 6-part series about restarting her day that you guys all write. Was it Fleabag? Or
was the star
is that
of
what
what?
it's called?
I'm sorry.
What's that 6-episode quick fun series that came out like last year that everyone loved?
With
about
Awkwafina?
The girl who restarts her day. No.
Oh, the Russian doll one.
Yeah, Russian Doll. I was certain it was the lead character from Russian Doll.
Oh,
who has a very similar voice apparently to Awkwafina. Her name is
she has a very
Natasha
gravelly
Lyonne.
yeah,
it's the gravelly voice.
Yeah. So you thought that was
that's what
her
it was.
this whole movie for
The
like
entire
the whole
movie? I thought it was her.
Yeah.
I
have a few of those from animated movies. Like I always thought, what is it? Billy Crystal was in The Lion King. Wait, is that what it was? Wait, is Billy? I don't know. One of them. I'm not even going to go down that road. I don't remember.
Well, this movie is available on Disney Plus, which is where I saw it at home on my couch. I believe it's a $30 rental, so it is a little pricey. But eventually, I think after a month or so, it's gonna pop up for free. So you can just wait, and it'll be fine.
I mean, and I will say, you have a family of 4. It's cheaper than going to a movie. So. And,
exactly. That's what it's meant for. You know, it's not meant for one person just to drop 30 on like I did alone.
Although I will say I did. I've got this right here. I got my movie ticket. I went and saw it in theaters. Dolby.
Shit.
Saw it in Dolby Atmos yesterday.
This is your second movie?
It's my third movie. The third movie in theaters, second in Dolby Atmos.
That's pretty awesome. How did it feel?
Very much enjoying it. Feels very, very good to be back in theaters.
Especially, I'm sure, with the animation of this film. There was a lot to just look
fantastic. Really looked fantastic.
I guess we can start there, or start what I thought about this movie. This movie, and like a lot of other Disney and also Pixar films, are absolutely incredible what they're doing for animation on high budget movies nowadays. Like there was like a few, maybe 5 minutes in the middle of the movie where my mind started wandering and just looking at other stuff besides the characters, and I actually started playing this game in my head of like, if I just like inserted a real person into the backdrop they're walking, like in this wide shot, would it look like a high budget like blockbuster film that just was using CG for like a whimsical wide shot? And I was like, I would 100% think this would be in any other film. Like there's nothing that stylized about like the water effects or the wood on the boat. It's just like hyper real.
Yeah, definitely. That kind of seems to be what they're the style that they and Pixar are going for these days. You just replace the animated characters with live action people.
And you wouldn't even question it.
Yeah, I think so.
At least that's when I was trying to use my imagination in the middle of this film, that's what I concluded. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, or you replace them with like Lion King quality animated characters, and you would have a very hard time telling the difference. Yeah,
that's true. We also had Lion King come out last year, which was in that exact department, jaw dropping.
Yeah,
I think to me, this was a average film. I'm gonna say, like, I'm not too there's like some nits to pick. It's not like Mulan where I was losing my mind after. There's a lot of beautiful stuff to look at, and there's some like really good adventure that these characters go on as well.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think this was anything too much in either direction. And I'm interested to see which way you pulled on it. But I'm just like, okay, like meh. I liked it while I was watching it, but I don't think I'm ever gonna need to think about it or complain or boast about it again.
Yeah. I would say I'm kind of in the same boat. I think we can really dig into a lot of the different aspects of this movie. There was a lot of great ideas that I really liked. I really liked the traveling nature of the movie. It had a pretty big scope. From it's like the origins of the movie that take place like 500 years ago to like kind of the prologue of the movie, and then it cuts like 6 years later, and then in that time frame she's traveling like all around this world, and you get into the mountains, into the frozen tundra, into the desert, and she's so I really liked that adventure aspect of the movie. I obviously animation was really great. I really liked, I loved Raya, and especially her relationship with the antagonist of the film. I thought they had great dynamics. And when they actually kind of got together and confronted each other, and there were some emotionally really impactful moments that they had together. And I think you feel that in part because of the scope of the movie, because like they knew each other when they were like 6 years old, or like, I don't know, 12 years old, 10 years old.
I think she mentioned it was a 6-year difference, but we don't really.
There was a 6-year difference, but we don't know. Anyways,
maybe
like 6 years earlier,
16 or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, and you can kind of tell that they have had this history between these two time frames, and you get a sense of she's always kind of after Raya, and always kind of tracking and following where she's going. So I really loved that dynamic, and I think for me that was really what carried me through the movie. Those two things, and virtually all the emotional impact of the movie kind of hinged on that relationship.
Definitely.
I do think, I would say there are a few things that stood out in the movie, a few scenes. But yeah, I think overall there were some issues. I don't think they, at least story-wise, narrative-wise, I don't think they took any risks. I remember when in the very beginning of the movie, when she first actually finds the dragon early on, quite early, because I hadn't seen any trailers. I didn't know hardly anything about it going into it. I was a little bit like, I almost wish the movie had been about her journey alone rather than kind of that.
I had the same thought. I was like, wait, the dragon's already here?
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was the movie. There was a lot of points in the movie or in the first like third or half even, where I thought that was the movie, but then it kept pushing itself forward quickly because it had so much to cover.
Yeah.
Which is cool because it, like we both said, the scope does draw you in. The scope of this film makes it move and makes it interesting. But at the same time, I think it was possibly missing, like you said, like some of the more interesting parts that could be dived into in this massive story.
Yeah.
Like her alone in the desert over and over again, searching for this dragon, but never finding it and being disappointed about that. Because when she does find it, we're only 20 minutes into the film, and there's like this giant dragon in front of us, and I was just like, okay, we're already here.
Right at the beginning of the main storyline, like there's the prologue, I guess you could say, and then right at the beginning of the actual storyline, she finds the dragon. I totally agree, and you could definitely just say, well, that's just not the story that they were telling. That's not this movie. But I don't know, something about it I think it just like there was a longing, I guess, when I was watching it. And I will say, like, Moana is similar in that Moana finds Maui right at the beginning of the movie. I mean, you have a little bit of time with her before she finds Maui, but she finds Maui, at the end of kind of the first act, I think you could say, and it's a similar adventure from then on. But for some reason, maybe it's just that I thought there was such a strong introduction to her character and a strong introduction to the world that she had, that we were being dumped into, that I almost, I was left wishing that there was kind of more of that.
Yeah, I think I agree. One thing I see this movie as, or immediately I saw this movie, this should be a Disney Plus like animated season of a show.
Yeah.
Because there's so many sections to this like epic adventure, and there could be so much more depth and world building. And I mean, you're saying that you never want to criticize a movie for it not being what you wanted it to be. But I think what this movie was a really hyper fast-paced montage of what could be like an epic trilogy of a book or a trilogy of a TV series. And I didn't get those like intimate moments. I didn't get the world being like flushed out and felt lived in. There was a lot of beauty that I was looking at like visually, but I wasn't necessarily like feeling I wasn't feeling the villages or the towns or they had 5 different countries for some reason. It could have been 3. And they were trying to distinguish them visually very much so, but I didn't feel any different when she went to the different locations. I mean this brings up the big comparison to Avatar, I feel like.
The Last Airbender or the Blue People?
The Last Airbender, of course. I feel like this is very inspired by stories like that, and I don't think necessarily know if Disney would have gotten here without a show like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Did you see those connections at all? Going through this at all?
Yeah, in kind of in the look of it, the way that they, I mean, it's certainly not, or Avatar: The Last Airbender isn't the only thing to have done this, but it is the only thing I can think of in that kind of style.
Like Eastern
animated,
Asian inspired, like.
Yeah,
art and art design and culture and architecture.
And definitely, I mean, how distinct everything about the different locations looked. And
it's like almost like a video game. Like you have different biomes that you wander into, and they're just all of a sudden 100% different than the last place you came.
Definitely. So I can definitely see that. And I certainly agree that this movie probably, or the decision to go with a story like this, was influenced by the success of Avatar.
Fantasy epic adventure, with kingdoms and tribes and cultures and
definitely. There were a few other ones. I think Kubo and the Two Strings. I got some notes of that. I was if I didn't get totally bogged down today, schedule wise, I was going to try to come up with a Boom Goes the Dynamite for Kubo and the Two Strings and Raya and the Last Dragon. But
Kubo and the Two Strings being a remarkable film by Laika.
Laika Studios.
Laika Studios.
Brilliant
film. I mean, this isn't there. This isn't Kubo by any means. But the adventure and the art direction, I see what you're talking about.
And also a lot of the themes of anyways. There's a lot of different previous works that popped into my head while watching this movie. Also, as far as the not the animation in terms of the look of the movie, but the fighting of it, Kung Fu Panda is one that popped in my head.
I never saw
if
that.
You saw that,
they definitely like they gave like forethought to the action scenes. It was like you could see what was happening. It wasn't over edited, and there's actual choreography going on the screen, and I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, and it really felt like the action. It almost felt like the action scenes were choreographed by real people and animated to almost to their movement. So you like actually got the feeling of weight and momentum and of all the impacts and
right from the start when she's like fighting her father in the kind of training opening, and there's like these like medium shots where you actually see like multiple moves happening all in once, and it's a little bit like creative and like someone's actually thought this through. And they also use this technique of trying to have realistic looking camera movements, and like a lot of like, you know, I've seen behind the scenes footage of people working on similar things, and like they actually use a real handheld camera, but they are, you know, it's attached to the computer, so you can actually kind of get that like motion that you would get with a real handheld person doing it, even though it's being captured by the computer the whole time.
I think like Peter,
and I saw a lot of that in
Peter
there.
Jackson.
A lot.
I remember in the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings of Peter Jackson just with the VR goggles and a fake foam camera running around.
Right.
Definitely.
It's not like overly smooth or crisp or manufactured. It like feels way more natural.
Yeah. And I'm curious, so I know Pixar, pretty much everything is done not by hand, but by like all the performances in Pixar movies. And I assume all the camera movements and everything is done by the animators, like by hand, not by hand, but, you know, actually by the animators on the computers. But there are a few scenes in this movie where, especially like one that popped out, the first time I noticed it was there was a close up on Raya's dad, as he was talking, and it really looked like it was motion captured. And I wonder if they actually used some kind of motion capture technology in this movie, you know, as well as with the camera.
I remember the exact shot you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is like it's like in the past. It's the flashback thing right after that fight. Yeah, and I actually was like, something's up with that. I had a different thought. I was like, because the animation did look a little weirder on him, and I wondered if it was like, in my head, I was like, maybe he's a cheaper like character model that they're not spending as much time on. Anyways, it's a very different reaction than you, but it's interesting that we both had a reaction to the same shot. I
did get an awkward a bit of an awkward reaction to that, and I was wondering. So I noticed that, and I thought it was maybe because they did motion tracking for him, and and I thought maybe it was bad motion tracking, maybe it didn't track right, maybe the actor was doing something and it just didn't translate, because that those kinds of things can happen. And then I didn't notice it for any other characters.
Yes, I never thought I would bring this up.
Yeah, me too.
But it's crazy.
But it did look a little awkward.
It's interesting. We both reacted to it. I think I have some beef to pick with this movie. It's a pretty big thing. For a children's animated film, I mean, we're so used to Pixar just getting this so right all the time. I didn't think this was very funny for how goofy it was.
Yeah.
For a majority of pretty much every character in this movie is like eccentric and flamboyant and weird. And
I hate to say it, but Awkwafina kind of didn't work for me. Her comedy kind of just didn't work for me. And I wonder if it was like, was she just alone in a studio and was she told, do your Awkwafina funny thing? And then she would kind of do her Awkwafina funny thing, but she didn't have anyone to bounce those funny things off of. And
we need more jokes.
More jokes, more funny. Jokes. And she didn't have anyone to bounce those off of. She didn't have really anything visual except for maybe some storyboards to go off of. And it didn't work for me. And especially it was really jarring from like that, such a kind of a dark, kind of a gritty world that they like just kind of throw you in the beginning of the movie when they cut back to Raya 6 years later. And then Awkwafina comes in and it was just kind of jarring that she was so goofy and a lot of her jokes just weren't landing. And yeah, it really didn't
I even
work.
noticed our lead character, like in the opening, like flashback thing, was just like overly eccentric. And it's just like they need to like calm these characters down like every once in a while so they seem like real humans. Like they were just feeding to her just crazy animation and dialogue right from the start when she was interacting with her dad and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could have used like a more like anchor of a character, whether it was our lead or one of her sidekicks that was like more normal to carry us through this, because like everybody constantly trying to crack jokes and then also nothing really even being that funny or clever. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way for most of the film.
Yeah. Not only was it not funny, but it kind of, it really took away from the tone and the like
and the good
character
story they were trying to tell.
Yeah, and the character that they were building with Raya, I think. It just it didn't really mesh well. But let's talk about the elephant in the room.
What?
Or rather the baby in the room.
Oh. Yeah, yes.
That
this movie
baby
definitely had a problem
was
with
mind-boggling. I can't grasp what they were going for with that
monkeys
baby.
Not enough?
Yeah.
How did they get to monkeys with like a hyper intelligent kung fu baby that couldn't speak?
Yeah.
But was also still kind of a baby.
It was like, is this like a in the Boss Babies universe or something? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
especially since it was like 4 characters all in one.
Yeah.
It was a very weird choice. I don't think I was as offended as it by you, but the whole thing together, like the package of them being all one unit that we're supposed to care about, was just like, I don't know how you even get there. And it didn't help. Was it really taking you out of it?
It really was. Yeah, unfortunately, it was just so baffling to me and so out of nowhere and out of place for this world. It's like I would have been able to have accepted the monkeys, I think.
Yeah.
Just
totally.
because of like I get it. I get what they're going for. It's kind of a Disney thing. Like I feel like they do that kind of they have to do that kind of thing, or at least they think they have to do that kind of thing. Yeah.
In like Thailand of monkeys stealing stuff and invading the street vendors. So
like, so and you can
get where they're going.
Yeah, from. You get that, but like the baby just like didn't make any sense. It didn't fit in the world, and it like and then like throughout the movie it was okay if it would have just been that one scene where they steal the thing and then they leave the baby behind. But the baby being there through all the emotional, the climactic moments of the movie, like towards the end when they're, they have that big climax and then it like cuts to the baby and the baby has the baby's moment. And I was just like, also what just are like you doing here?
Like,
I mean, I wasn't thinking about that. But
the kid, it's not like she found the kid in the woods. Like the kid was in an entire flourishing city. Yeah. Like she should have left it with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about but yeah, anyways, the baby really, really did not work for me. Mm-hmm. It was a mind-boggling decision. And really took me out of some key moments.
Potato bug armadillo really worked for me. Mm-hmm. The character design on that thing and the fact, just the idea of it like growing, 10 sizes in those 6 years.
Yeah.
And it being this like vehicle, I mean, very Avatar-esque, I thought, like having this oversized animal.
Yeah.
Carry her through her adventure. Mm-hmm. It like the visuals of it looked amazing. And just the whole idea of how she rides on it, I thought was just a great concept.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the climax, or they probably could have done something more with I forget what his name was, Tuk Tuk.
Well,
Oh, played
let's
by
talk about
Alan Tudyk.
let's talk about the
did the
ending.
voice.
And let's call for spoilers.
Yeah,
I think
let's jump into spoilers.
We're a good chunk into here. So if you have not seen the movie, you don't want to hear anything about where the movie goes, please stop now. However, we're going to continue on with spoilers.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. So what did you think about some aspects of the ending?
Aside from the baby, a lot of it really worked for me. As much as I was kind of pretty on the fence, if not pretty kind of negative on the movie throughout the movie, the ending actually kind of pulled it back, and the visual of the stone people having their hands out, and the establishing of that story of the dragons coming together and entrusting Sisu with the dragon stone, and then that moment of bringing them together, and you just have to trust each other for once, and that
our hero is the one who gives up first.
Yeah, and
lets the secondary character.
And I loved
the ending climax.
Yeah, and I loved how it was the hero's decision to be the one to trust. She wasn't the hero who everyone trusts in our hero, and our hero is presented with the dragon stone to save the day. It was the hero's decision, and the way that our hero saved the world was through her decision to trust someone else, her enemy, who has hurt her so much in her life. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty powerful moment, and a pretty powerful message. Maybe
cool
a
twist.
Yeah, definitely a cool twist, and a cool twist on like that superhero, or the on the hero, some hero tropes. But yeah, it definitely worked for me. How did it work for you?
I wasn't fully there with you. I think I liked all the ideas of the ending. Like we're just saying, her giving in, stepping back, being consumed by the stone. So our hero character, or our secondary character, who is the villain, can finish things off, I thought was a really great idea. There was like some things going on around it that I was like getting a little in my head about. Like I thought the villain character stayed a villain for a little too long, and I just wasn't on board with her evilness after the fourth time she decided to stay evil for no reason. Especially the shot right before that moment where she, like, they didn't need this. I don't know why they added the movie where she goes to like leave the cave as literally the entire world is ending.
Yeah.
They have this extra shot of her considering to like escape one last time. And I'm just like your mom, what are you even escaping for? Yeah. And even before that, I thought they needed to stop having her be evil. But they took it a step further. Even then, she still hadn't made up her mind. So that like kind of distracted me a little bit from the other good ideas that you're mentioning in that scene, because I think there was both going on at the same time. It, like you said, it was a little bit inconsequential in the end. I really felt that way about Frozen 2. Was insanely inconsequential. Every single character turned out to be perfectly loving and peaceful and amazing at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it had a little bit, it was not nearly anything like Frozen 2, but it had a little bit of that going on. And I just wish it had had a little bit more mixed at the ending, giving you like more things to think about. I don't know, than everything just being perfect and good.
Yeah,
I mean,
one
of the big things that they added that was like too far was like every single dragon coming back and resurrecting the other dragon. And just, I didn't even know why the dragons were there. Like that stone had been together before the past 6 years ago. I didn't know how the magic worked and every single dragon.
Exactly. I have no idea why all the dragons didn't come back before.
Yeah.
No
and
idea.
That was just like a little bit too much of everything being good. I felt like if they had let Aquafina just like maybe be dead and the characters were sad about it and had to live with their choices for a bit, I don't know, like.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I had a moment after they finally put the stone together and the antagonist finally kind of turns into stone and sits there next to Raya, or right there next to Raya. I kind of thought for a second that they were gonna because it actually fades out on Raya, right?
It fully fades out.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought like, oh, that would be cool if they ended it here.
Oh, that's dark, but everyone made the right decision in the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh.
And like, I know it couldn't possibly work in a kid's family movie. Everyone would walk away disappointed. But it's just, one of those things, just longing for that.
Disney, Pixar does this all the time, but like Disney animated needs to realize they need to be a little more.
Yeah.
I keep slipping on this word. What do I want to say? Like
complex. Yeah, complex. Taking risks, taking thematic and story risks. I don't know if Pixar has ever gone that dark or that risky. Like WALL-E comes back, he makes his big sacrifice and he comes back, and secondary or tertiary characters certainly have died in Pixar movies and made that sacrifice, like Bing Bong and Inside Out. But I don't know if Pixar's ever really gone that far. But yeah, it just kind of going from that from what could have been just such a good and complex and interesting ending to an over the top happy, everything's good and happy, and like, I know they all came together and like random people from the 5 different kingdoms came together, but does that really solve anything? I don't really understand how it solved anything. If they have been at war for 500 years,
right?
What exactly is it?
I guess we just need to believe that the mom, the queen of that one kingdom, was just wrong about her assumptions that everyone would hate her, would hate their kingdom.
But then the other tribe, in the mountain, or in the frozen mountain bamboo forest or whatever, who was always at war with everyone. Why are they no longer mad or at war?
The film, instantly makes the assumption that everybody is just happy things are back to normal.
I mean, I guess like the thing that solved the problem was the dragons are back. And when the dragons are back, and when you have, that's a kind of an ironic message to the movie. Like when you have everything you need, because that's what the dragons represented. They had all the rain. They had, I forget exactly everything she describes in the beginning, but it seemed like they had everyone had everything they needed. They had all the rain and water. So like when you're not struggling for resources, peace is great. Everyone can be peaceful, but I mean, you take away those, finite resources from people, and war breaks out. So I guess maybe that's the theme of the movie. That's what we're supposed to take away from it, but I don't know if the movie was thinking it was going there.
Again, forgetting about the complexity that you could come up with in a more creative script at the climax. Yeah. I think we're reaching the end of this podcast. We've been talking for a good amount of time. But I would like to, do final thoughts, wrap up what we, summarize a little bit. So I'll start. In the end, I thought this was a beautiful, fun adventure from beginning to end. There's a lot to like about this movie. But at the same time, I think it is not the quality of Pixar, and it does not live up to like the amount of depth or even like humor that well-made Pixar can. And while there are holes in it, they're fewer and further between than other Disney films. And I think, I don't know, I think you can enjoy it, but I'm probably not going to think about it or want to watch it again.
I think most people would enjoy the movie, but yeah. So I don't know if you want to pay $30 for just to watch it by yourself, but if you have a family of 4, or you know, you watch it with other people, then maybe it's probably worth it. Worth a watch, especially right now. There's not a ton of big movies out. Actually, any big movies out right now. Soon, though.
Soon we have a full list of movies coming up. I don't think you've officially picked yours, have you yet, Sean?
Yeah, I think I have, right? I thought I was doing. Am I not doing the the Many Saints of Newark with Nick?
Oh, got it. Okay. So next up, March 16th, Derek will be our host, and as of this moment, we're going to review the movie Cherry. It might switch because Cherry didn't get good reviews. We'll see. We'll leave that up to Derek, but that will be next Tuesday at 8 p.m. The following March 23rd is going to be Nick and Derek. They're going to do Justice League, the Schneider Cut. And then the final week of the month,
the Rob
Schneider Cut.
The Rob Schneider Cut.
Schneider. Oh, Snyder.
Snyder.
March 30th, the final Tuesday of the month, Sean will then be hosting with Nick, The Many Saints of Newark.
The Sopranos prequel.
Sopranos prequel. So that's our agenda for the month. I hope all you tune in again.
Don't necessarily hold us to that. We're kind of adapting and seeing. Yeah, we're flexible, and yeah, we'll see what comes up.
So please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. Tune in next time.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it. See ya.